every generation there is a chosen one. She alone will stand against the vampires, the demons, and the forces of darkness. She is the Slayer.
Yeah, she is the Slayer. For 7 incredible seasons, Sarah Michelle Gellar brought to life the most famous vampire slayer in pop culture, Buffy Summers. With all her strength, sass, and heart, Buffy was not just a fighter against the supernatural. She was a girl caught between high school drama, messy relationships, and battles against creatures that defied explanation. And after the series, Sarah kept landing a series of super iconic roles. Some you probably remember, and others maybe not so much.
I know very well you eat this late. You're gonna get heartburn. Get it? Heartburn? That's it. That's all I get.
Well, not long after Buffy captivated our screens, Sarah took on another unforgettable role in I Know What You Did last summer as Helen Shivers, a small-town beauty queen with big dreams who suddenly finds herself being hunted by a guy with a hook. The movie is a classic in teen horror cinema and one of the most beloved slasher movies to this day.
What's the trouble?
That's him! Behind you! Behind you!
Then came Cruel Intentions, where she transformed into Kathryn Merteuil, and wow, she was really amazing and sexy here. Kathryn is a manipulative socialite playing twisted games with everyone around her, especially her stepbrother Sebastian. The film was scandalous, bold, seductive, and yeah, some of those scenes still live rent-free in the minds of fans everywhere. Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Because I'm the only person you can't have and it kills you.
No way.
You can put it anywhere.
And speaking of classics, we have to talk about Daphne. Sarah brought the purple-loving danger magnet to life in the live-action Scooby-Doo franchise. With her stylish flair and effortless charm, she reimagined the beloved character from one of the world's most cherished cartoon franchises, making the film a memorable treat for fans of all ages.
Unless you knew I'd figure it out. So you told me not to go up to the castle, so I would think that you wanted me to go, so I wouldn't go, just like you didn't want me to.
Huh?
I'll find out what you're hiding in that castle. You watch.
I can see the headlines now. Erica Kane cries, the known universe mourns. And you're inhuman! Look at you! Have you shed one tear? Have you cried at all? Or are you waiting for the camera crews to arrive?
But before all of that, Sarah had already made waves in the legendary soap opera All My Children as Kendall Hart, the rebellious daughter who stirred up all kinds of drama. She first stepped into the role in the 90s, then returned years later, complete with inside jokes and even some Easter eggs.
So I see vampires. That doesn't make me crazy.
No, vampires are very popular.
I saw them before they were trendy.
And how about 2 Sarah Michelle Gellars in the same show? Well, that's the psychological thriller Ringer, where Sarah boldly stepped into, well, not 1, but 2 roles in this twisty drama. Playing twins with hidden secrets, she proved that she could handle a challenge that was both intriguing and refreshingly different from her previous work.
I want you to know how sorry I am for everything. You already apologized in your letter. I know, it's just... making amends is step number 9. I did my research.
Sydney!
No, just tell me one thing. Was any of it real? I mean, was Bones just a lie? I mean, do you even like David Boreanaz? Or was it all just a con to steal my father's idea?
It was all...
And did you know she once starred in a comedy series alongside the legend Robin Williams? In The Crazy Ones, she plays Sydney Roberts, daughter of Simon Roberts, the head of creativity at a wild advertising agency, played by the amazing Robin Williams. The synergy between the 2 actors was incredible, and that show definitely deserves more attention. If you've never watched it, go check it out.
Wow. Amazing.
What?
Your circle. It's flawless. Do it again.
Come on! Now do it with your eyes closed. Draw a hexagon just for fun.
It's not human.
And just when you thought she was done with the supernatural, Sarah surprised us in Wolfpack. Leaving the vampire realm behind, she dove into the world of werewolves as Kristin Ramsey, a mysterious investigator tangled in a story of teens and creatures. Though the series ended sooner than expected, it showcased a new and captivating chapter in her career.
And Harlan. father that he has always wanted. In you.
Not the human father.
No. The wolf.
And most recently, she joins the intense universe of Dexter: Original Sin as Tanya Mart, a tough cop navigating the gritty streets of Miami. In this thrilling spin-off of the acclaimed series Dexter, Sarah steps into a role that pits her against a dark, future serial killer, blending the suspense of a crime drama with her signature strength and charisma. You know, if Dexter knew how many vampires she's already slayed, the story would have ended a lot sooner, right?
This is your first crime scene, right? I remember my first. My captain, this big macho putz, was worried that my weak little lady stomach couldn't handle all the blood. 10 minutes on the scene and he was the one blowing chunks. I'm tiny but mighty. And don't you forget it.
Who are you?
Let's just say I'm a friend.
Yeah, well, maybe I don't want a friend.
I didn't say I was yours.
David Boreanaz brought to life Angel, a vampire that wasn't just another pretty face with fangs. He was cursed with a conscience after years of being a monster and suddenly had to live with all the guilt and even a romance with Buffy.
Close your eyes.
After Buffy, David didn't just fade into the shadows. He took center stage in Angel, the spin-off that dove deep into his dark, redemptive journey.
Can you fly? Guess not.
This time, Angel was fighting evil in Los Angeles, running a paranormal detective agency, trying to atone for his bloody past while saving souls along the way. The series gave him more space to evolve, brought back several familiar faces from Buffy, and developed its own cult following.
We fight. Bit more specific? Well, personally, I kind of want to slay the dragon. Let's go to work.
Oh, and did you know David was once part of the Justice League? In the animated film Justice League: The New Frontier, he lent his voice to Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern himself. The 2008 animation is set in the 1950s and brings the heroes together to face a massive threat to Earth. You know, classic superhero team-up style.
That thing's gonna do a lot of damage. Guess it's time to see what this ring can really do. Sorry.
But his biggest leap came with the series Bones, where David traded fangs for a badge.
Because you clearly don't have any real concern for me.
I took a bullet for you!
Once! That only goes so far. Would you like a towel?
He played FBI Special Agent Seeley Booth, a charming, tough, straight-talking guy with a sharp wit and a soft spot under that no-nonsense attitude. He teamed up with forensic anthropologist Temperance Brennan to solve murder cases, and the chemistry between them became a TV staple. This was David's longest-running role, appearing in over 240 episodes across 12 seasons. For many people, this is the role that defines him even more than Angel.
I should go. I just wanted to say hello.
Wait, Jake, we can work something out here.
We're the same, Seeley. We both want to do the right thing.
Stop. Jake, I'm warning you.
Go ahead. Jump the fence. Don't wait for the warrant.
I don't need a warrant. This land belongs to Seeley Booth.
And just when you thought he'd slow down, David took on another huge role. In SEAL Team, as a Navy SEAL team leader, he was balancing high-stakes missions with the weight of personal loss and leadership. Gritty, intense, and emotional. This show gave David a chance to show depth, resilience, and a whole new kind of strength. It also became another major milestone in his career, a series that lasted for 7 seasons, and proved once again that David Boreanaz knows how to lead a show from start to finish.
We are coming in hot.
Reaper, this is Havoc. You are cleared hot.
Home sweet home.
James Marsters wasn't just another vampire on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He was Spike, the bleach blonde bad boy with a British accent and a lot of attitude. He started off as a villain, turned into an anti-hero, and somehow became one of the most beloved characters in the whole series.
5 words or less.
Out for a walk. Bitch.
But James didn't stop at slaying hearts on TV. He's also known for his voice, literally. He became a fan-favorite narrator of audiobooks, especially the Dresden Files. In this long-running urban fantasy series, he voices Harry Dresden, a modern-day wizard and private investigator dealing with dark magic, shady creatures, and a lot of trouble.
Lupus, I whispered. Lupus, lupara, luparoso. It took no more of a chant than that for the change to take me. It wasn't something that I noticed, really. But when I opened my eyes again, things were simply as they should be.
And did you know James has a band? Yep, it's called Ghost of the Robot, and they've been around since the early 2000s. Mixing rock, pop, and a bit of soul, they've built a cult following, especially with the album Vandals.
Escaping the boredom of the middle classes
And of course, he wasn't done with Buffyverse either. James showed up in Angel 2, continuing Spike's story and shaking things up. His dynamic with Angel was just as explosive as ever. Sarcastic banter, unresolved issues, and somehow some real emotional depth too.
Cause you're Angel, vamp detective now? Ooh, I'm so scared. What's next? Vampire cowboy? Vampire fireman? Oh, vampire ballerina. I do like to work with my legs.
Oh, and if you thought he was done playing icons, think again. James voiced Lex Luthor in the animation Superman Doomsday. He took on the most legendary villain in the Superman mythos in this gritty animated film. Bold, calculated, and menacing. His Lex was seriously underrated.
The naughty Linda! Why did you leave me? Why?
Who's your daddy?
Oh my. Then came Dragon Ball Evolution. Yeah, that one. James played Piccolo, one of the most iconic characters in anime history, in what became one of the most infamously bad pop culture adaptations ever made. Honestly, the film is a disaster, but hey, it was probably a learning experience for everyone involved, especially James.
Human power has failed before. As it will again!
Are you telling me the truth? Lying to you would be like lying to a mollusk. There's no point.
Next stop, Smallville. After playing Superman's biggest enemy in animation, he jumped into another huge DC role, this time as Brainiac, a cold, calculating AI with serious power, masquerading as Professor Milton Fine. His performance gave the show a real edge, and fans loved seeing him twist Clark Kent's life into knots.
A hero is made in the moment, not from questioning the past or fearing what's to come. Just remember that, Kello.
And at this point, it's like he had a checklist of every major 2000s fandom. So of course, he popped up in one episode of Supernatural. He played Dawn Stark, a powerful witch who gets tangled up in a twisted, tragic love story. Oh, and he shared the screen with Charisma Carpenter, a little Buffy reunion.
For obvious reasons, you won't be leaving this room. Well, you will be leaving, just not alive. Maggie.
Putera Magie Negra.
Okay, let me.
Now, we do try not to mention that Dragon Ball movie too much, but we've got to give James props for making a comeback. In Dragon Ball Super, he voices Zamasu, a cold, philosophical, and terrifying villain who became one of the most iconic characters in recent franchise history. He nailed it in both the anime and in several games too.
Is that a fact, Goku? That means in this future my dreams have come true. Well, all the more reason why I can't let you interlopers get in the way of them now.
Sorry, Kai, but your luck has run out.
Well, and after playing around the DC universe for so long, it was time to visit Marvel. In Runaways, James played Victor Stein, a genius inventor with a dark past and some serious issues. A complicated father figure, hiding secrets and manipulating everyone around him. Classic Marsters, charming, creepy, and compelling all at once. And just when you thought he'd done it all, he switched things up again with something totally different and totally weird. In Apple TV Plus's animated series Curses, James voices Larry, part of a cursed family tangled up in supernatural chaos.
Oh, nothing like surviving the sea's wrath. Nice try, Poseidon.
Just don't like putting you guys in danger.
Oh, I laugh in the face of danger. Then I hide until it goes away.
Nicholas Brendon played Xander Harris, the heart of the Scooby Gang. No superpowers, no ancient prophecies, just pure loyalty, snarky one-liners, and a baseball bat when needed. He was the everyman in a world of monsters, and that's exactly why fans connected so much with him. After Buffy ended, Nicholas didn't exactly jump into blockbuster territory. Most of his roles were in B-movies or smaller appearances in bigger shows.
But our priority is to stop Drusilla.
Angel's our friend. Except I don't like him.
One of his first bigger gigs, post-Buffy, was in Kitchen Confidential, a comedy series based on Anthony Bourdain's book. Nicholas played Seth Richmond, one of the wild and quirky chefs working under Bradley Cooper's character. The series had promise, but unfortunately got the axe after just one season.
Watch where you're going, numbnuts.
Why don't you watch where you're going, numbnuts?
Ha! Explain something to you, Vampy. Crap rolls downhill, which means you can only give static to the people that are below you.
Well, who's below me?
Nobody.
Then came Criminal Minds, easily his most prominent role after Buffy. He played Kevin Lynch, a tech-savvy analyst who was also the love interest of Penelope Garcia. His appearances were scattered over several years, and fans definitely appreciated seeing him back on mainstream TV, especially in a character that fit his awkward, brainy charm so well.
Beautiful. Oh my God! I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I just, you just look so beautiful multitasking.
In Coherence, Nicholas took on a more mind-bending role. It's a sci-fi mystery thriller about a dinner party that turns bizarre when a comet passes overhead, and reality starts glitching. Nicholas plays Mike, one of the guests caught in this weird loop of alternate versions of themselves. It's a hidden gem for sci-fi fans.
Yeah, we're in a different reality, because the reality where I am from, my best friend didn't sleep with my wife.
Hugh, do you not understand what I'm saying? This all started tonight, and if there are a million different realities, I have slept with your wife in every one of them.
The Nanny, not the sitcom, is a dark fantasy thriller where Nicholas played David. The film follows a young woman who takes a job as a nanny for a mysterious child, only to uncover a world of supernatural secrets.
But I'm gonna make you suffer. Unless you tell me where Emma is. Emma?
And in one of his most recent projects, he starred in Yesterday is Almost Here, an indie film with a twisted premise. Nicholas plays Douglas Winter, a man who suspects his wife is having an affair, so he teams up with the lover's wife and sets out on a surreal, emotional odyssey.
Two things we should never get angry with. Things we can change, and things we cannot.
It doesn't make any sense.
But we can't talk about Nicholas Brendon without addressing the darker side of his post-Buffy journey. Since the show ended, he's been arrested more than 10 times. Seriously, we're talking about charges like vandalism, resisting arrest, domestic violence, and even prescription fraud. At one point, he got arrested for causing a scene at a Comic-Con. It's been rough.
Are you drunk now?
No.
Did you drink this morning?
No.
Because I smell alcohol on you.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Oh.
And it wasn't just legal trouble. Things got messy with some of his Buffy co-stars too, especially David Boreanaz. During the 20-year anniversary reunion of the show, the tension between them was so bad that David refused to be part of the group if Nicholas was involved. Because of that, Nicholas had to film his parts separately, and later he was digitally added into the official cast photo. But to be fair, he's been through multiple stints in rehab and has been working hard to stay clean. However, his most recent posts on social media have left fans somewhat concerned about how he appears in the videos. Well, we hope he is well and healthy as soon as possible.
This is kind of a fireside chat. There's the fire. See it? It's not a timeout, it pissed me off. No, it got really cold outside, so we also have a candle. Here, hold on. It's, not only to steal that, but see it? The candle.
Do you like my mask? Isn't it pretty? It raises the dead. Americans.
Anthony Head was our beloved Rupert Giles in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The Watcher, the Mentor, the guy who could go from quiet librarian to demon-slaying badass without breaking a sweat. After Buffy, Anthony didn't disappear into the shadows of Sunnydale. He thrived and jumped into some wildly different roles.
I am a human being. Oh, stop the car. Right, let's go then.
In the comedy Little Britain, Anthony traded in ancient tomes for British satire. He played the Prime Minister in this absurd, edgy sketch show that became a cult hit in the UK.
This thing on Monday because it's quite big.
Yes, Sebastian, now, if you don't mind,
Quick, Prime Minister, get down!
What's going on? I thought there was a sniper, Prime Minister.
Then came something completely unexpected. Repo, the Genetic Opera, a gory, glam rock musical where Anthony played Nathan, a grieving widower who's also a repo man hired to reclaim body parts from people who miss their payments. Oh, and Anthony sings through the whole thing. In the series Merlin, Anthony went full medieval as King Uther Pendragon, ruler of Camelot and father of Arthur. Powerful, proud, and totally anti-magic, which, gets awkward when your kingdom's fate kinda depends on a young wizard. This fantasy series was a big success, and Anthony's performance gave it that classic commanding energy.
You think you can drive me from it? You are nothing but a serving boy. Magic.
Another remarkable role of his was in Dominion, where Anthony dove into the post-apocalyptic, playing David Whale, a scheming politician trying to keep power in a world torn apart by angels at war with humanity. Think Game of Thrones meets biblical chaos. And of course, Anthony brought layers, charm, ambition, manipulation, all wrapped in that signature calm menace.
Evelyn wished to give you this.
A derringer. One of these killed Abraham Lincoln.
Hello, darling.
What a lovely surprise.
Oh, weren't you expecting me?
And finally, we have to talk about one of Anthony's most popular roles in recent years, his performance as Rupert Mannion in the heartwarming series Ted Lasso. Rupert is the billionaire ex-husband of Rebecca and former owner of AFC Richmond. He's the guy you love to hate. Plus, Rupert was the antagonist in one of the show's most famous scenes, the emotional moment where Ted talks about how important it is to stay curious about people.
Whatever you say, Rupert Dukes. Yeah, just let me know if I'm winning or losing, all right?
Oh, I forgot I had these on me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait a second. I forgot I'm left-handed. Oh, it's gonna be a hoot.
Hi. Willow, right?
Why? I mean, hi. Did you want me to move?
Why don't we start with, hi, I'm Buffy.
Alyson Hannigan totally stole our hearts as the sweet and powerful Willow, the shy, brainy girl with a dark turn who grew into one of the most powerful witches in the Buffy universe. Willow wasn't just a sidekick, she was a hero, but her success didn't stop in Sunnydale. After Buffy, Alyson kept shining in some hilarious, bold, and unforgettable roles.
Wanna know what a bullet feels like, Warren? A real one? It's not like in the comics.
No.
I think you need to feel it.
Oh, God!
Right after Buffy, she popped up in Veronica Mars playing Trina Eccles, Logan's super dramatic, fame-hungry sister. She only appeared in 3 episodes, but made a strong impression with her chaotic energy. Oh, and fun fact, she shared scenes with another familiar face from the Buffy cast, but we'll save that for their spotlight.
That wannabe producer boyfriend do this to you?
It doesn't matter.
It does now, tell me.
You've made it clear that you have no interest in my problems, Logan. Don't be wishy-washy. It's so unattractive in a guy.
Now let's talk about one of Alyson's most iconic roles, Michelle from the American Pie franchise, the sweet-looking band geek with a wildly unexpected wild side. You know the line. This one time at band camp, yeah, that was her. She was in American Pie, American Pie 2, American Wedding, and American Reunion. She was the perfect mix of awkward charm and cheeky surprises.
I get it.
Oh, and this one time at band camp, I stuck a flute in my pussy.
Excuse me?
What? You don't think I know how to get myself off?
Lily, I can explain. It's...
Could you in our own home? You bastard! I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Get out! This is what I get after I worked as a stripper for 4 years to put you through medical school. I got breast implants for you.
Then came How I Met Your Mother, probably the biggest hit of her career. She played Lily Aldrin, a kindergarten teacher with a soft heart, a sarcastic streak, and a shockingly sassy side. The show ran for 9 seasons and was a total cultural phenomenon. And once again, Alyson nailed that perfect balance of heart, humor, and just the right dose of spice. Classic Hannigan.
If you can do all that stuff that Marshall just listed off, I will let you touch one boob.
Both boobs.
Just one.
Touch and squeeze.
Just touch.
Touch and motorboat.
Just touch.
Honka honka.
Just touch.
20 minutes, both boobs.
30 seconds, one boob.
4 minutes, both boobs, 3 squeezes.
1 minute, both boobs, one squeeze.
Deal.
In more recent years, Alyson has been putting her voice to work, literally. She's become super active in animation, including voicing Claire Clancy in Fancy Nancy. It's a sweet, sparkly Disney series about a little girl with big dreams and a love for all things French. Alyson plays Nancy's mom, supportive, stylish, and totally charming.
Honey, that teapot is a family heirloom. It'll be passed on to you and your children one day.
And here's a sweet little behind-the-scenes nugget. Alyson married her Buffy co-star Alexis Denisof, aka Wesley. They met on set and have been together ever since. A real-life love story born in the supernatural world of Buffy, but thriving in the real world.
It is. All we need is our other, our other child. We don't know what this one is, but we have a daughter at home, so.
How long have you been practicing? Always. I mean, since I was little. My mom used to. She
Amber Benson brought so much heart and depth to Tara McClay, Willow's gentle, kind-hearted girlfriend and a powerful witch in her own right. Tara wasn't just a love interest. She became a fan favorite for her compassion, emotional strength, and that beautifully quiet presence in the Scooby Gang.
Hey! You're gonna back off. She said no, and that's it. You're not gonna make her do something that she doesn't want to. And if you try, you're gonna have to go through me first.
After Buffy, Amber didn't just stick to the supernatural, but she definitely didn't stray too far either. She showed up in Supernatural as Lenore, a vampire, but not the bloodthirsty kind. Lenore and her group refused to feed on humans. Her character brought moral complexity to the Monster of the Week formula, though she appeared in only 2 episodes.
Hey! They're all the same. Evil, bloodthirsty.
No.
Then came Strictly Sexual, a spicy little indie comedy where Amber played Donna, one of 2 successful women who decide to flip the dating script by hiring a pair of unemployed guys as, well, let's just say, live-in companions. But as always, emotions get messy.
Okay, you understand. We don't want boyfriends, we don't want boyfriends, we don't want relationships. We want 2 guys to service us. This is strictly sexual. You're on call 24 hours, we get laid when we want, how we want. You work for us.
In Morganville the series, based on the popular vampire book series, she played Amelie, the founder and ruler of a town secretly run by vampires. She's cold, commanding, and calculating, a total power player. This web series brought a darker, dramatic energy, and Amber's performance stood right at the center of it all.
This is a hidden room, built for my use long ago.
But I didn't think vampires could get into this house. You are a vampire, right?
I am the founder of Morganville. In all ways that count, I am the vampire.
And most recently, she had a cameo in the movie I Saw the TV Glow, a trippy, moody indie horror released in 2024 that's got serious cult classic potential. Amber plays Johnny Link's mom in this surreal story about identity, obsession, and the blurred line between fantasy and reality.
Johnny's not home, but...
You have to tell my dad that I've been lying to him. I've been pretending to sleep here while my mom's in the hospital and I need to be grounded.
Okay, slow down, honey. What?
Frighten me like that! God, who would put something like that there? Is this supposed to be some sort of sick joke?
Emma Caulfield brought absolute magic to Buffy as Anya Jenkins, the ex-vengeance demon who went from punishing unfaithful men for centuries to working at the magic box and awkwardly navigating human emotions. Her bluntness, brutal honesty, and accidental hilarity made her one of the most unique and beloved members of the Scooby Gang.
Buffy, get out of here.
Get out of my way, Xander.
No.
Get out of her way, Xander. This is getting to be a pattern with you, Buffy. Are there any friends of yours left you haven't tried to kill?
And after Buffy, Emma kept embracing quirky layered roles in all kinds of cool projects. In the romantic comedy Timer, she played Una O'Leary, a woman living in a world where people can get a countdown timer implanted in their wrist that tells them when they'll meet their soulmate. The twist is that Una's timer is blank, which sends her on a quest to figure out if love is really something you can schedule or if it's a little more chaotic. It's a clever, underrated rom-com with a sci-fi twist. And yes, it even has some spicy scenes with Emma.
I'm turning 30 this weekend.
This is a biological clock thing?
It's everything, you know? I mean, I don't have time to stand still like this. We did the thing where we pretended that the timer didn't matter, and I'll grant you, it was a lot of fun.
Then she stepped into full fairy tale mode in the popular series Once Upon a Time, playing the blind witch. Yep, the creepy oven-loving lady from Hansel and Gretel. She's wicked, she's weird, and she fits perfectly into the magical chaos of the enchanted forest. Emma's episodes were a total treat for fantasy fans.
Where are you? Oh, yes. Nice and tender. Succulent roast you'll make.
In Supergirl, she switched gears into the DC universe as Cameron Chase, an FBI agent who doesn't exactly play well with aliens. It was just a small role in one episode, but it was a more serious, grounded character that showed off Emma's range and her knack for playing tough, determined women with authority.
You can't let anything happen to Wynn.
His father killed an agent the last time we apprehended him. We're not leaving anything to chance.
Agent Chase.
Miss Danvers, the only reason you're here is because your friend wouldn't do this without you. So be quiet and stay out of the way.
And of course, we have to talk about WandaVision, one of her most remarkable roles since Buffy. Emma played Sarah Proctor, aka Dottie, the seemingly perfect, slightly suspicious Stepford-style queen bee of Westview. Fans were obsessed with her character, spinning wild theories for weeks, and no, she is not Mephisto, guys.
How does a housewife get a bloodstain out of white linen? By doing it herself.
Time out, Xander. Put yourself in Buffy's shoes for just a minute, okay? I'm Buffy, freak of nature, right? Naturally, I pick a freak for a boyfriend. And then he turns into Mr. Killing Spree, which is pretty much my fault.
Cordy, get out of my shoes.
I'm just trying to help, Buffy.
Charisma Carpenter, also known as the Queen of My Dreams, brought unforgettable charm to Buffy as Cordelia Chase. She started off as the ultimate high school queen bee, snarky, stylish, and always ready with a biting comeback. But as the series progressed, Cordelia evolved into a more complex character, revealing layers of vulnerability and courage beneath her glamorous exterior.
Cordelia, could you please drive me home?
Of course. But if the world doesn't end, I'm gonna need a note.
After her time in Sunnydale, Charisma took Cordelia to new heights in Angel. Not only did she continue to portray Cordelia, but her role expanded significantly, making her a central figure in the spin-off series. Her growth in Angel was profound, solidifying her status as a beloved character in the Buffyverse.
I'll be seeing you. Oh, what the hell? One for the road?
Another remarkable role of hers was in the hit series Charmed, where she played Kira, a flirtatious and insightful demon seer who craved humanity more than power. With her signature low-cut outfits and magnetic presence, Kira was seductive, clever, and impossible to ignore.
Is this where it all happens? Oh my god. Don't tell me. That's...
How about you tell me why your fellow demons are trying to kill you?
The elders didn't tell you? You know, you're hard to read, but that's okay. I like a challenge.
She then took on the role of Kendall Casablancas in Veronica Mars, a character who was as manipulative as she was mesmerizing. Kendall was the ultimate femme fatale, seducing everyone in her path and always keeping secrets close to her chest. In other words, she was basically charisma being charisma.
So, is this your much older sister I've heard nothing about?
Oh yes, where are my manners? Kendall Casablancas, Trina Eccles. Rode hard, meat put away wet.
I'm guessing she's the wet one.
In the mystery drama series, The Lying Game, Charisma portrayed Rebecca Sewell, a woman full of secrets, lies, and complicated family ties. She played the biological mother of the main characters, Emma and Sut, and her mysterious motives added a constant air of suspense.
Are you having an affair with my husband?
What did she say? Are you kidding me? No, I'm not. And where do you, of all people, get off accusing me of infidelity?
Princess Kristin. So high and mighty. What does it feel like to be just as dirty as the rest of us, huh?
Ladies! What makes you wet?
I don't think anybody has ever asked me that before.
I just did.
Oh wow. And we also have to talk about Bound, her most provocative role of all. In this erotic thriller, Charisma played Michelle Moulin, a successful real estate broker who dives into the world of BDSM and seductive power games. The film, often described as a steamier 50 Shades of Grey that didn't quite hit the mark, still gave us something unforgettable, a dangerously sexy Charisma in one of her boldest performances. And just a heads up, it's got some very spicy scenes, so maybe don't hit play if your grandma's in the room.
I would really like the opportunity, perhaps, to sit down and maybe restructure the terms of your agreement.
Now is not the time to discuss business.
It's too late. What do you mean?
And one of her most recent roles was an appearance in one episode of Dynasty. She played Heather, a gorgeous nanny caught up in a story of betrayal and flirty chaos, bringing her signature flair to the modern reboot of the classic series.
Blake Harrington made no effort to check on his mother that evening.
No, there was no mention of Evelyn. In fact, the only woman that he was calling mommy that night was me.
I'm sorry this is hard for you, but I told you what I need. So I can't help feeling like the reason you want to talk is so you can feel better about yourself. That's not my problem.
Seth Green stole our hearts as Daniel Oz Osborne. Oz wasn't just the chill guy with killer one-liners and a guitar. He was also a literal werewolf. But instead of being your typical angry, hairy monster, Oz was mellow, introspective, and incredibly loyal, especially to Willow. Their relationship gave us some of the most emotional and unforgettable moments in the show. And let's be real, every fan remembers that heartbreaking goodbye.
Oz, don't you love me?
My whole life. I've never loved anything else.
But after Buffy, Seth Green didn't just stick to acting. He became a voiceover legend. He's been voicing Chris Griffin on Family Guy since the very beginning, from 1999 all the way through 2025. Chris is the awkward, kinda clueless teenage son of Peter and Lois, and Seth's hilarious, offbeat voice performance gave the character his iconic weirdness. The show itself is one of the most recognizable adult animated comedies of all time.
Look, Heather, the truth is, I don't care if we never take it to the next level physically. I just really like spending time with you. Wow, I am gonna have to write to somebody about this.
And if that wasn't enough, Seth co-created and starred in Robot Chicken, an Emmy-winning stop-motion sketch show that ran from 2005 to 2022. He voiced dozens of characters, spoofed everything from Star Wars to Barbie, and basically gave us one of the funniest, nerdiest, most chaotic shows ever made.
Action.
Just the way I like it, frame broiled.
Cut. Back to one. Flame broiled. Okay? Action.
Just the way I liked it, flame broiled.
Cut. Nope. Back to one. Action.
Just the way I drike it. Dream spoiled.
Jesus!
Besides the voice acting career, he also had a recurring role in one of the most popular and beloved sitcoms from the 2000s, That 70s Show. Seth played Mitch Miller, a super nerdy and overly persistent guy who tries to join Eric's friend group, but clearly doesn't fit in. He falls for Donna, becomes kind of a rival to Eric, and gets into some seriously awkward situations.
This is my son, Mitch.
You can call me Ladies Man.
Ladies man.
Did somebody call me?
And another super iconic pop culture series that featured Seth was Heroes. Seth played Sam, a comic book store employee who helps Hiro Nakamura on his epic time-traveling mission. It was a small role, but totally in line with Seth's nerdy charm.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I'll be with you in a second. Don't worry, we got plenty of Red Hulks for everybody.
Sam?
Yeah.
This is so awesome.
What are you doing here?
Buffy, if you're going out, why don't you take your sister?
Mom!
And finally, Michelle Trachtenberg, the one who brought to life Dawn Summers. Now listen, fans definitely had mixed feelings about her at first, but come on, over time, you can't help but love her. Introduced in season 5 of Buffy, Dawn suddenly appeared as Buffy's little sister, even though she hadn't existed in the previous seasons. Plot twist, she was actually a mystical key made human, created to be protected by the Slayer.
You sleep, right?
Yeah. What's your point, Nimbly?
Well, I can't take you in a fight or anything, even with a chip in your head. But you do sleep. If you hurt my sister at all, touch her, you're gonna wake up on fire.
One of her most popular roles after Buffy was in one of the most iconic teen comedies of the 2000s, Euro Trip. She played Jenny, a high school grad traveling across Europe with friends. And there are plenty of wild, hilarious, and yes, a lot of sexy moments. Let's just say she really broke away from her Buffy image in this one.
Thanks for waiting.
Well,
At least the sun's out. I thought this was a nude beach.
Bless us, Father. I have a feeling we're about to sin.
Then we had her in Gossip Girl, probably her most well-known role after Buffy. She played Georgina Sparks, the ultimate chaotic queen. Georgina was manipulative, unpredictable, and totally fabulous. Every time she showed up, drama followed. Fans of the show loved to hate her, and Michelle absolutely owned every second on screen.
Face it, Blair. Once upon a time, in a far-off land, you were a queen. Here you're just a loser.
In the medical drama Mercy, Michelle played Nurse Chloe Payne, a quirky rookie nurse trying to find her footing in the intense world of hospital life. It was a more grounded and emotional role for her, showing off her range outside of the teen drama and comedy worlds.
How the hell did she get malaria? Her plane out of Amsterdam originated in Cameroon. An infected African mosquito hitched a ride to Europe and took a bite out of bliss. That's crazy. Yeah, it's called airport malaria.
Then there's The Circuit, and yes, this one was a bit of a curveball. Michelle played Kylie Shines, a young and determined race car driver. That's right, a full-on adrenaline junkie character in the middle of a NASCAR-style racing drama. Definitely a departure from her usual roles, but super fun to watch.
What's the gauge?
Very funny. How's your old temp looking?
It's fine. Can we do some hot laps now?
All right, you feel comfortable out there? Balance of the car feel good?
Like a cat in the sunshine. This car is gonna be awesome. I love it. Lots of play.
It's Dallas. I know I haven't seen you in a long time. Sorry.
In Sister Cities, she took on one of her last major on-camera roles. She played Dallas Baxter, one of 4 estranged sisters who reunite after the death of their mother. The film dives into family secrets, grief, and sisterhood, and Michelle gave a really moving performance. A quieter film, but full of heart.
I don't even know you people anymore. Come on, you never knew us. Huh? Congratulations, Austin. You have isolated yourself in this house with your mother. You have no idea what I deal with on a daily basis.
And most recently, she stepped into voice acting with roles like in the animated film Unicorn Boy, voicing the character Violet. The movie has a super trippy vibe, like someone made it while on a full-blown psychedelic trip. I mean, the main character gets pulled into an alternate reality by a unicorn with giant eyes who vomits constantly. Yep, that's a thing. But hey, it actually won several animation awards.
Because I care about you so much.
You don't want to hurt me. You come to my house and dump me out of nowhere because I'm not fitting into some figment of your imagination? What?
I'm really sorry, Violet. I'm just trying to do the right thing.
Also today, actress Michelle Trachtenberg has died at the age of 39. She's best known for her roles in Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, and Gossip Girl.
Sadly, after a career full of unforgettable roles and iconic moments, Michelle Trachtenberg passed away, and fans all over the world were left absolutely heartbroken. She was found dead in a New York City apartment on February 26, 2025, at just 39 years old. It was shocking, devastating, and hard to believe for anyone who grew up watching her light up the screen. The official cause of death was complications from diabetes mellitus. The manner of death was ruled as natural, but the loss still hit like a punch to the gut. But just like in the Buffyverse, where death is never the end, Michelle will live on forever in our hearts.
So what I respect is the fans. I've not heard about a reboot, but I hope that it honors what the fans love. I like it.
Sorry if I wish for
Alright, those were just some of the coolest roles the cast took on after Buffy. Did we miss one you love? Drop it in the comments. And while you're at it, let us know your favorite roles from the cast. Now pick the next video on your screen, and I'll see you there.